Okay, gonna start recording. We'll go ahead and get started so that we can, I mean, this isn't really simple, so it really shouldn't be, it shouldn't even take that long. It's not that difficult of a process. So if you guys have any questions in the middle of, while what I'm going over, please feel free to, just jump in. There aren't that many of us on the call, so. All right, so we're here, I'm in a listing. I'm actually we're going to do a multiple offer situation in a listing. And the power of this is twofold. One, in that if you actually have an active seller with multiple offers, which we know is going on a lot these days, it's really a great way to put multiple offers in, generate a report that you could email out and have an intelligent conversation, based on data about the offers that are presented, making sure that you have all the offers. In cases we're hearing, into double digits, you want to make sure that you have all of your offers in. Or, you could have a conversation with your seller and say, hey, we're just going to go with the top 3 or 4 offers. But either way, you can generate a nice report for them. The other powerful and in some ways even more powerful way to use this, it would be to on a listing appointment, to go ahead and just create a generic opportunity, or to impress your seller, go ahead and create their opportunity right away and say, hey, this is the market we're in, this is what's going to happen, and look what I'm going to be able to do for you, and just demonstrate this from them right on the listing appointment. So again, no one else, and to my knowledge in the industry, has any sort of a tool like this, and it's something that definitely can set us apart in terms of gaining listings in a market where that's more critical than anything. So always the first thing you want to do is make sure that you have your property address in. So this little pencil here is an icon that you can click on to edit, and you want to go ahead and search your property address. In this case, if it's a listing, you can pull it right off of select from listings. You should, they say, your listings don't always come up here depending on what's going on in KWLS. So you may want to go ahead and click all listings. You can then go ahead and search the listing and pull it in, and that's going to pull all your seller data in. If it doesn't come up here, you can always type it in manually, because this is a generic listing. So it's not going to come up from KWLS. So I'm just going to shoot over here, put in my, and of course, there are main streets all over the country. So we'll just pop one of those in there and save. And now I have my property information. This is something, and just in terms of getting paid, you have to have your property information, whether it's a buyer or a seller listing, in order to complete your commission. So I would urge you to go ahead and do that right away. Click on offers. And the first thing you're going to see is there are none, right? So you have your data, your information here. Again, you can click through your tabs to see the additional information. This menu of items is always here. We're working in the offers tab right now. The first thing you're going to do is add a new offer. Click add offer. It's very simple. I would recommend, especially if you're in a multiple offer situation and you're looking to generate a report, that you would label it by the buyer, and I'm probably their agent. So, so we may have Daffy Duck with Sally agent.
Lori?
Yeah.
Question, for like fair housing purposes, should you not put the buyers' names in, just because then they're
No, you're generating a report for your seller. This is, so it's
okay.
They have to see this. They're going to see the offer.
Oh, that's true. They see the purchase offer anyway. You're right.
Yeah, this is information that you're presenting to your seller. So there's really no fair housing issue there at all. So the first offer, I just put in Daffy Duck, represented by Sally agent. It asks me for the offer date, the closing date. So, this is important because we're all always worried about, who wants to close quickly. So you're going to just take this, of course, right off of your purchase offer, or make an estimate based on what type of financing. So let's just go ahead and pick a date out in the future. They're going to close February, a month from now. Click save. Now it's going to go take you the very next screen. So we're just working through this little timeline here. So we just put our offer details in. Now it's asking who the parties are, and you'll see that your seller is automatically filled in based on what you have in command. And you should be there as well as the representative. So then you can just go over here and fill in your buyer. Taffy. Oh, spell that correctly. And then the representative, which was Sally Agent. Okay, so again, you're just completing a very simple form. Gosh, I hate this. It's no matter what, the bars are always in the way, right? Click next. You're going to go to your terms. So for us, really the only thing we're filling out here that's relevant is the terms cash versus finance. So, let's say that this is a $400,000 offer and they're bringing $200,000 cash and they're going to finance the other half. So just fill in the terms, whatever they happen to be. Oh, that's a good offer. Let's go with that one. Fill in the terms. We don't take any earnest money. There's no option fees. We don't have termination clauses. If your seller's doing if they're looking for like a contribution, so a seller's concession, you could put that in here. That it really is going to depend on you as an agent, how you want to manage that. And depending on your client and how sophisticated they are, you may want to put the sales price in to include the seller's concession, or you may want to go ahead and add it here to contribute to settlement costs, because that will show up a little differently in the analysis. And then, they'll be able to see what actually they're netting at the end of the day. So we filled in those couple of details. We click agent analysis, and I'm just popping through this little timeline. And this is the part where you can actually type in what's going on. So this is, your opinion. And I would caution you just to, be a little careful here. Remember, our role as an agent is to guide our sellers on strength of offer, based on financials and a buyer's ability to buy and the whatever stipulations they have on the offer, but we want to be a little careful about steering them in one direction or another based on what we feel is best. So if you have a seller that, may be willing to accept a little less money because they want to close more quickly, then, what you're putting in the pros and the cons may look different. And at this point, you should know your seller well enough. And so I would just suggest you stick to the facts here. So what a pro of this would be, half cash. And I would say, looking to close quickly. Okay. Cons, I don't, based on what I put in, I didn't really see anything. Perhaps we're in the summary, good cash qualification. And maybe we want to put here, appraisal issue. Okay, so again, this is just our opinion, something we know. If you, I would say, like, if it's a person you've worked with in a bank, that's a good solid local lender that you have a lot of experience with, you could put in here summary, I have dealt with this lender, they tend to close quickly. I'm not familiar with the lender. Maybe a con might be the pre-approved only, not pre-qualified. Okay, so this is not something that might be a deal breaker, but it is a con in that, hey, we may want to go back to this buyer, we like your offer, but hey, we need a more solid approval on that. Okay, we get our terms in, we click save, and you'll see we have the details of the offer. There's a couple of options here to accept, reject, and of course 3 boxes are always a little menu, so you can edit or send or remove offers from here. So for now, we're just going to leave that because this is a multiple offer situation. So we have to go ahead and put our other offer in. And so this one came from Porky Piglet, and he is working with John Agent. we're creating his offer now. So this is an additional competing offer. Same thing now, offer date, closing date. Let's say these guys are not bringing as much cash. Maybe they have an FHA loan. We're going to have to push them out a little bit. It's going to be early March before we might get them to the closing table. So just put in offer date, a close date, click on parties. Again, we're going to add our buyer's name here. There are a couple boxes we can pick here if they're pre-approved versus pre-qualified. Again, this was what? John Agent. Okay, and again, we're clicking to our terms, and here we're putting in, all right, so let's say this is they're only bringing $10,000 to the table. They're going to finance, but they have a $410,000 offer. Okay, so this is a little bit better offer, but they're financing a lot more, right? Again, and most of these don't apply to us, so we're going to shoot over to the agent analysis, and here we're going to put pros, 10,000 of asking, right? Cons, let's see, con is small. What do we want to say? Just actually, I don't know if I'd put a con there, right? Let's just put a summary. This buyer is financing more, but came with a solid pre-qual. Okay. Later closing date. Okay, and again, that may not be important to your seller, so let's not assume that that's a con. Again, FHA or VA, depending on your opinion about that, your seller's opinion, you may put VA loan, may not, VA loan, property, may, oh my goodness, I cannot spell and talk. Is anybody with me? So if you have issues, maybe this is a VA loan and there's some chipping paint or peeling paint or something, some work that the seller may have to do, that would qualify as a con, in my opinion. I might put that in there. And remember, this is for further discussion. This is just for analysis. So we're going to go ahead and click save. And now you'll see that we have 2 offers. Again, you can put in 2 or 10 or 12 or as many offers as you like. You want to go ahead and select. Well, I'm just going to do the 2 for the sake of time, but I'm going to go ahead and select those 2. If I had more, I would just continue to add offers. And then you're just going to come and click the compare offers button. And there you have this really neat, organized little spreadsheet of just what you put in, your terms, the price, how much cash, what they're financing, any additional terms, the offer date, when they're looking to close, and then you have your little blurb that you've put in that you're going to be able to now just generate a report to send to your seller. So here I marked this one pre-approved. I could have marked this one pre-qualified because I did put this, or I got that backward, didn't I? Pre-qualified versus pre-approved. But you can use the little check boxes, and you can use the pros and cons. You can go back and edit these if you like to. If you go back to offers, you're able to make some edits. But this is basically the spreadsheet that you're going to be looking at, that you're sending out to your seller. And again, you may have 3 or 4 or 5 other offers. You can put them all in the spreadsheet, and then you're just going to simply download that. Click the download button. It's going to create this very nifty little PDF that you then can download, print, attach to an email, and send out to them. Okay, and that is really it. That is like the gist of multiple offer situation. There's a couple other features. Let me just X out of this. Everything's hiding. I want to close. Oh, I'm over here. Sorry. The email offer comparison is, I was watching the Marty Miller email or video earlier, and he said that they've been having some glitches with this. And I think what it comes down to is that not everybody has like the same Excel spreadsheet programs and so on. So if you're going to use this, I wouldn't say you shouldn't, but I would just make sure that you throw your email address in there first and test it before you send it out to your client. And, really the safest way is to just go ahead and do a download, generate that PDF and attach that to an email, send it out and have the conversation with your client. Okay. And that's it. That is the gist of creating multiple offers and this little spreadsheet for comparison. Now, just to sort of round out, close off what we're doing at the end of the day, when you finally do decide on an offer, remember you're going to want to accept that offer, reject the offers that you're not using, so that then you can go into your commissions tab and you can complete your commission. So that is in terms of getting paid, would be the last part, to make sure that you're accepting your offer. But other than that, that is how we're looking at and comparing offers and generating a spreadsheet. Simple, right? Questions, concerns, comments? Do you feel like this is a powerful tool? Could you see yourself using it on a listing presentation to really show off to your seller how you're going to be able to generate a really neat report for them to really have a intelligent conversation about a best offer?
It's a great, clear way to keep everything organized and in place.
Yeah, and we talked a little about that this morning, Patty. Thanks for that. It's just from a liability standpoint, there's a lot of tension right now, and agents are getting accused of not presenting offers and not having told their seller presented it in a timely fashion and so on and so forth. So, you can use this tool, and I would encourage you, if you're getting a lot of offers, put a comment in MLS, all offers will be presented to seller on X day. Whether you go to a highest and best or not, you don't always have to, right? That's not required, but suppose you do. Or if not, hey, we do have multiple offers, bring your best offer. All offers will be presented to seller on X day. And then you can generate this report, and you have a paper trail of the report with all of the offers on it. So, nobody can say that you didn't present it. And if it came down to it, we have documents we have to sign by the seller and so on to prove that we have presented offers. But you could always use this report, black out pertinent information, and say, here, these are the offers that were presented. This is the spreadsheet, and it is from a liability standpoint, would definitely protect you.
And it's good to have it too as a quick note. You can maybe put on one that this person said they'd like to be a backup if something should happen. And then it's just the one place to refer back to it.
Yeah, and that's great too. And even things like the little details, like, oh, this person has a good offer, but they're asking you to leave the washer dryer. So it's easy to forget those little details that may or may not make a difference. So when you're doing that comparison and you're typing that information in, you can really put a lot of detail in there to remind you. And even so, in your summary, you can put, for your seller, spoke with agent, but buyer is in X situation, no contingencies, ready to go, willing to waive the appraisal, all of that stuff. When you're looking at 8 or 9 offers, and I just had this where I had 8 offers on a listing of mine, and it's hard to keep track and to remember who you spoke with and what they're telling you. And so the more data that you're putting in this report, you can just clearly look there. You can go back and you can edit those offers. So if you do have a conversation and it's so competitive, so you're getting that phone call the next day, oh, well, they changed their mind. They have another 20,000 cash they can bring. Okay, well, get it to me in writing. Go in and make the notes in there so that as you're going through them, because we all know too, in the multiple offer situation, that everyone's hot to go and they have to have it until they get it, and then they don't want it anymore, right? And then they're feeling like, oh, well, maybe they offered too much money, and they get cold feet. So it's really good to know who's in your backup position and who you feel that you're going to be able to work most closely with. So those types of things, it's really good to have that all in writing there. So
That's great.
yeah, good. And that's it. Like, it seems so simple, right? We're 20 minutes and we're done. So, but it is that simple, but I can't stress enough that, one, using it for in listing presentations to gain listings is a really powerful tool right now, because we all know that we really need to be pressing for listings. So it is going to help you with your sellers, your current, sellers in working with multiple offers. But at the same time, you really want to be using this as a tool to your advantage when you're on listing appointments. No one else can do it. So that's really, I think a real powerful way to be entering a listing appointment and in a market where, if you price effectively, you will get multiple offers. Good.
Lori, how would you go about, for a listing presentation, how would you go about creating a sample? Would you use a fake account, or would you use their account and then just delete? How would you?
I would, be bold, Chris, right? Assume that you're leaving there with the listing and say, hey, I took the liberty of setting up your account already in Command. I've already begun marketing your listing on the back end. And look what else I can do, right? So you sit in Command. If you're comfortable, this is something obviously you have to get comfortable with. And you can talk to Eileen about this, that apparently there are some brand new listing presentation templates in Command. So, it would be something that you would want to include. But for me, and I've been doing this a long time, I would not hesitate to set up those sellers in an opportunity with their data in a sample Facebook ad. Take a picture of their home and say, hey, after you sign this form tonight, this is what's going to show up tomorrow in Facebook. And this is how many buyers I'm anticipating generating from that. And this is what's going to happen. Let me just show you how I'm going to present the offers to you, because they'll come in quickly if you're willing to price your property, strategically for the market. So I would set them up. Worst case, Chris, you can always archive the opportunity if you don't get it, right? But you're going to want to keep them on a drip anyway. So it's no harm in setting them up.
Do you think you'd go so far as to put a couple of sample offers?
I would probably demonstrate that at the listing presentation.
Okay.
So like I just did, it just took me 20 minutes, right? So I would probably just demonstrate that and say, hey, this is what type of report I'm going to be able to create for you, should we get in a multiple offer situation. And yeah.
No, it's really smart. It's a helpful tool. I mean, visually, I think it makes brings all the information together for buyers or for the sellers to understand it all at once. So it is really a great way to look at it all.
Yeah, and if you think, our, sellers are anxious about multiple offers, right?
Yeah.
It sounds like so much fun. No, none of us, we don't like them. I don't mind getting two. That's a nice thing, especially if I got a really strong one. But what if I get four really bad ones, right? Then that makes my job even harder, because now I have to recommend to my seller that maybe we don't accept any of them because they all stink and we have to keep marketing. So multiple offers can be a con as much as a pro. But if you think they're going to bring us anxiety, they do bring sellers anxiety, and sellers don't know, how will we pick? How will we know, right? What if we take the wrong offer? They're going to question and second guess and have those insecurities about it. So just by putting that into a very simple format where you're going to be able to say, hey, look, we're going to be able to read over the details of each of these offers, and I'm going to make sure that I pick through every purchase offer and pick out any pertinent facts so that we cover everything. And hey, I know it's more important to you that we close by the middle of next month versus sometime in March, and you're willing to accept a little less money. And we're going to be able to really take a close look and weigh the pros and cons of that, the difference. And it's so, and from a standpoint of setting your sellers or your potential sellers at ease, I think it will really be a powerful tool for you to just start them off on the right foot with the right expectations, right? And if they don't get multiple offers, then you've done something wrong in your pricing right now. We know that to be a fact, right? So it helps. It will just help open up all of those conversations. What else? Anyone else have any questions,
Yeah.
comments, concerns?
I do, Lori. I wish I had this for my client this past summer. It looks so much better, professional.
Mhm. Well, you
Um,
did have it, you just didn't use it, so.
yes,
Now you
exactly.
do.
Yeah, I didn't take the time.
Yeah.
I have a question outside of this. Where are the documents for listings for land?
Listings for land,
Yes,
well, it's just the listing agreement. So
right.
it's the same listing agreement. So when you're creating your opportunity, you want to click the vacant land
Oh, I didn't see.
document, right?
Okay.
And then it's going to tell you what you need. And so for vacant land, you need the exclusive right to sell and the NYSER fair housing discrimination disclosure.
Sure.
Ag notice
we-
if it's in an ag district.
Do we need to add the COVID forms for
Not for
land?
vacant land, no, not
Yes,
for vacant.
okay.
Yeah. So, and
All
then of
right,
course,
thank
you know,
you.
all the documents are either housed in DocuSign or .loop, depending on what program you're working in.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Good. Does anybody have anything else they want to add before we end? All right, great. Thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Have a great weekend.
You do the same.